And that's when she dropped the bombshell of, she just said to me, look, I don't care, what else happens on this flight. You have to get off this flight on a wheelchair and get a wheelchair through Dublin Airport. That's how I focus on myself with a manual focus lens. We tip for you there. Shout out to the Boston Red Sox for sponsoring this video. No, they didn't. Nobody cares about me. I'll not waste your time, I'll get stuck straight into it. If you haven't seen my 100 shots of Boston and the vlog that goes with it, you should watch that, otherwise this will just be completely irrelevant. So, end of day one, I climb into bed, destroyed. I walked miles and miles and miles and miles, miles and miles and miles around Boston. Heavy bag on my back, not drinking any water, forgetting to eat, and when I did eat, it was fatty, fried, just, garbage, basically washed down with a couple of beers. Maybe had one bottle of water all day. A lot of the distance that I walked was vertical because I just love climbing staircases and seeing what views and little secret places I can access. Kind of like in the Marriott where I climbed up and down that whole flipping building for what felt like an eternity, only for the observation deck to be closed. Got into bed that night feeling pretty damn awful, woke up the next morning, and that's when it all kicked off. So my brain basically disconnected from the rest of my body. I remember waking up and rolling over in bed, but my brain stayed here, and about 5 seconds later it would go blub, 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 and I would have the dizziest, weirdest sensation of my brain just floating around all upside down inside my head. It was just grabbing my face, just felt so awful, so dizzy. Hideous headache, felt sick to my stomach as you would. I know, wasn't hungover, wasn't drunk or anything the night before. Did the whole spiel about, I'm gonna take it really easy today, at the start of day two. Started the day with a tour of Fenway Park. That was a slow start to that day, which was lovely and it was nice and it was how I should have done the rest of the day. As soon as that tour ended, it was like the DeLorean leaving trails of fire on the road. I mean, I was gone miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of walking again. Not eating for long periods of time. Then when I did remember to eat, it was pizza, it was burgers, it was fried crap. And I love me some Sam Adams Oktoberfest, so each time it was with a beer. Again, I maybe had I think I had a bottle of Gatorade on the second day, which was like the healthiest thing that I had for my body that whole day. And just same again, walking around for many miles, heavy bag on my back, treating my body like dirt. Got into bed that night again, felt like absolute trash, woke up the next morning, brain disconnected again, just so wiped. Same thing happened to me in Amsterdam. The morning that I woke up in Amsterdam, you would have thought that I drank a brewery and smoked, where do they make drugs? You know what I mean? Day 3, went to the aquarium, that was nice and slow. That's where things really started to go bad for me. I doubt you've ever heard of this condition. It's called Osgood-Schlatter disease. It's a thing where your knee just goes all banjaxed. I did this because that's basically what my knee looks like. I have my knee and then there's a big old lump that just sticks out of it. Whenever you go through a growth spurt when you're younger, and man alive, I went through a growth spurt. Basically it's something to do with your muscles and your tendons and your bones not growing at the same rate or something like that. Just gets all messed up and it is excruciatingly painful. Big lump sticking out of your knee. I remember days when I was about 11 or 12, I could not get off I couldn't bend my leg. To bend your leg was excruciating, and I remember getting off the bus straight-legged with people looking at me like, what is he doing? That just happened for a period of time when I was going through that growth spurt when I was like 11 or 12, and that just lay dormant for 20 years. 21 years. How old am I? In the New England Aquarium, it came back after 20 plus years. I was holding onto the railings, keeping my left leg straight because it was unbearable to bend. If you had just poked me in the left knee, I would have hit the deck, tears in my eyes. I was 11, 12 again. I mean, this was back with a vengeance. I could not walk properly. By the way, I had a great time in Boston. I loved it, but just physically I felt like garbage. Got out of the aquarium and I just wanted to sort of get away from everything, so I walked down to the harbour. That's where the vlog ends. If you didn't notice in the vlog, I mean, I am dying. I did not want to do it. I'm holding the camera just like, yeah, thanks for watching, whatever. After that, I just went to Quincy Market. I'm a huge NFL fan and I do fantasy football. So found a bar where they were showing it on screens. Great. brilliant way to pass like a couple of hours and just wait for my flight. I was done with walking around the city. I just wanted to sit and watch this and follow fantasy football on my phone. Got to the airport, got checked in. Logan Airport sucks, by the way. Got through security, all that there, and that's when something just started not feeling right. I sent a message to Rachel, my wife. I can't remember what it said, but it basically just said like, I'm at the airport, I don't feel good. I just thought, oh no, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. I got sick like that as soon as I sat down in the seat. I've never felt legit claustrophobia before, but I mean the seat in front of me it just felt like it was like that. I had no space whatsoever. I was at the window, and you know the way the plane goes, the plane curved around. I felt like it was on top of me. There was a guy beside me. He was nice. He was really dead on. But again, I just felt like he was smothering me. Started to feel really nauseous. This is like even before we took off. We took off and we're up above the Atlantic, and I'm cold sweating, if you know what I mean. Like I felt cold, shivering, but I was sweating. The thought of putting my hoodie on, I just thought, no, that would feel horrible because I'm sweating so much. I'm starting to like take in as much oxygen as I possibly could because it just felt so. Do you know that car sick feeling? That really awful feeling. That's the way I started to feel. Food service came around and all, and I declined it. I couldn't even think about putting anything into my body other than water. Took all the water that they would offer me. Started feeling like this pulsing sensation going up and down my arms. Like started losing the tactile. Started losing the feeling in the tips of my fingers, but could feel like this pulsing going on my arms. Was feeling my fingers starting to like close up. Really, like it was honestly a struggle to straighten out my hands like that. There, we're about halfway across the Atlantic. Lights have gone down, meal's over, everyone's asleep, and there's me sitting in what felt like a cage like this, sweating, freezing and hot at the same time. Can't move my fingers. I'm starting to like ever so slightly. I feel like I need to breathe in and out really quickly and really heavily, but at the same time I'm aware that that's making me feel like lightheaded and sick. But when I slowed down my breathing, it was like I started feeling like really hot or something, and I felt like I had to keep taking these deep breaths. I checked the little screen in front of you and checked the map where we were, and we were bang in the middle of our flight. We could not have been any more in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Now it's not like I was expecting them to have an emergency landing or something, but the fact that we were as far away from land as we could possibly be freaked me out, totally freaked me out. The walls were closing in. Oh my word, it was so awful. It really was so awful. So the little flight, the map with the time and the distance and everything said like 3 hours left on the flight. And I just thought, I can't do this for another 3 hours. I cannot sit here and suffer for 3. I've been doing it for like 2.5 hours. I cannot sit for this long again. So the guy beside me was asleep, and I just did the awful thing. I just patted the shoulder, no response. So oh no. Patted the shoulder again, a little bit harder, no response, and I just thought, I have to get out of this seat. I have to. Brought it on really quite hard and just said, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm really sorry to wake you up. I have to get out of this seat. I'm really not feeling well. He was cool. He just woke up and he was like, yeah, man, whatever. I don't think he really knew what was happening. He just said, yeah, whatever you need. So I walked up the aisle and turned this corner, and I noticed one of the cabin crew was sitting, but she was sitting on a desk like this, basically trying to sleep, just face down on a desk. And I just thought, I can't wake her. I can't, it was a really confusing experience of, I need help, but I do not want to ask for it. So I just thought, right, this is okay, this is good enough. I've got space, and the people on the plane can't see me because I was like around the corner. So I just basically fell to the floor. I just scooched down and sat on my bum, like up against something I don't even know. Like there was all the wee compartments and stuff, and I just sat and laid back on it. I just put my hand on my face, and I didn't know what to do. I just sat there. Wasn't sitting there for very long, maybe just like 2 minutes, and then I just heard one of the feet coming right up close to me, and I just heard I can't even remember what they said, but they were just like, holy crap, what are you doing here? And the only thing I could, and that woke up the other girl who was sitting face down, you know, trying to sleep. And again, she was just like, oh, what? You know, she was in a bit of a panic. And all I could say was, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I knew I wasn't meant to be there. I was just saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't make me go back to my seat. And they were, let me just say this. The cabin crew of that Aer Lingus flight were perfect. They were my absolute angels. They were my mummies. They were all female, so I'm gonna call them my mummies. They were just like, no, it's okay. You can sit there for a wee minute. What's wrong? And I couldn't even describe what was wrong. I was just, I started to cry. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I started to cry, not out of I think, you know, part of it was probably out of emotion, but a lot of it was just I could not control it. I felt tears running down my face out of just sheer exhaustion and panic and, yeah, I guess emotion. Like, I was just like, I'm so sorry. And they were handing me napkins, like tissues and stuff like that there. And I just said, I'm so sick and so claustrophobic. I'm so sorry. I can't feel my hands. And like, you know, they took my name, they took my address just to make sure that I was definitely who I was and that I was meant to be on this plane. You know, asked me what seat I was sitting in and all that there. They basically made me shimmy my bum forward so that I was lying flat on the floor on the plane, which was freezing cold. And they put all these blankets over me. And there was one woman, I think her name was Yvonne. She was just perfect. Yvonne from Aer Lingus doing the flight from Boston to Dublin and back. You were magnificent. I love you. She sat and held my hands, and she could see that my hands were all like this. And something clicked inside her, and she started telling me, she started asking me, are you feeling pulses up and down your arm? And I was saying yes. And she was saying, are you feeling like you have to take big deep breaths? And I was saying yes. And she said, something like this kind of happened to me when I was on holiday in, was it like Tenerife or Lanzarote or something, like last year or whenever. She said she got altitude sickness. And she said, right, look, I need you to stop taking deep breaths. Just breathe slowly in through your nose and out through your mouth and hold this. And she handed me, it was a hot, like they got a bottle of water and they heated it up. And she like was rubbing my hands while I was holding this bottle of water. I think it was just like to get the circulation going again or something like that there. She basically said, right, you're eating some crackers. She made me eat some like dry crackers, which yes, immediately did make me feel a bit better. Made me drink a pile of water, which again, yes, made me feel a bit better. And eventually we were able to get me back up into a seated position. And that's when she dropped the bombshell of, she just said to me, look, I don't care, you know, what else happens on this flight. You have to get off this flight on a wheelchair and get a wheelchair through Dublin Airport. Yay! That's not, you know... And I just felt so bad. I just felt like I was really putting them out. And I kept apologizing, but they just kept saying, like, this is our job, it's fine. They got me a cup of tea. Man alive, did a cup of tea help? Seriously. I think I was on the floor of that plane for about an hour and a half, at least an hour anyway. We got me up, sort of stretched my legs, walked back and forth, you know, in the wee back bit, and I was able to walk down to the guy beside me. See, I sat in his seat. And I was able to just chill out for the rest of the flight. I was sitting there for I think about another 45 minutes. Every sort of 10 minutes, she would come and just check me like, how you doing? And one of the times I just said, you know what? I really want some fruit. Do you have any fruit? And she just said, let me check. Came back within 2 minutes with a flipping bowl, like a fruit salad and a fork. It was exactly what I asked for. It was perfect. Oh my word. I have never been so happy to land in a plane in my life, to be on the tarmac, on a runway in Dublin Airport. It was beautiful. Yvonne came back to me and just said, you know, don't get up, let everybody else off, you just sit there. So that's what happened. I was the last person on the plane. Gingerly sort of stood up, you know, got my bag, and you know, like six of the cabin crew were all, they all, you know, they were all like, how you doing, Luke, how, I heard somebody saying like, how's Luke? You know, it was awesome. The personal attention that I got was brilliant. Seriously, thank you if by some miracle you're watching this. And there it was, whenever I got to the door of the plane, there's a girl sitting there with a wheelchair for me. I initially felt so embarrassed because it was self-inflicted, this whole exhaustion thing. It's not like I sprained my ankle or anything like that there. You know, I did this to me, and here's all these people being put out for it. Here's this girl having to wheel me through an airport in a wheelchair. Let me tell you, how far we had to go to get to the baggage reclaim. I'm glad that I was in a wheelchair because it was far. It was really far. And here's a quick tip for you. If you want to cut all the queues, like the passport and everything like that, just be like, I've hurt my knee, I need a wheelchair. Because I just went straight through. All the wheelchair gets you straight through. So yeah, maybe hurt your ankle on the next flight that you're on and you'll get a wheelchair and cut through all of the queues. It's great. I had to go to the bathroom, had to be wheeled to the bathroom where I said, yeah, I'm doing this bit by myself. Once I'd done my business, got out, and I just said to the girl, look, I got this, my uncle's picking me up, I'm fine. She was happy enough, she could see that I was sturdy enough, and then I went home. I desperately need to stop putting all this pressure on myself when I do 100 guy videos that I need to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and walk and walk and walk and walk. Nobody's paying me to do this yet. I'm doing this for myself. There's no pressure coming from anywhere. It does not make any sense that I am putting all this weight on myself to work devastatingly hard when, you know, it's just for me. It's supposed to be fun, and it was fun. I loved my time in Boston, but I just wish I sort of took it a bit easier on myself. So the reason why I'm telling you this is just, I think it might be a bit of an interesting story, but it's also, I'm outing myself as, hi, my name's Luke, and I put too much pressure on myself. Luke, stop going a million miles an hour and pressuring yourself and stressing out when you do these 100 shots videos. And I need anyone that I know to remind me of this whenever I'm going to go and do another one. I'm actually going to be in Brussels next week, but it's not, I've already done 100 shots of Brussels. I'm in there for another video, and I need to be told, don't go at a million miles an hour in Brussels next week, Luke, which is kind of why I'm making this video. So anyway, that was how I broke myself and how Aer Lingus dealt with it.